Okay, right now it is August 22nd, 2025, and I have 3 subscribers and 1 public video, which is the one that you're listening to right now. And would you believe it if I told you that I've been doing YouTube on and off for 12 years? So, what is up with that? Well, first of all, to clarify, the 3 subscribers aren't even like 3. It's really just 2. One being my friend, who is amazing and supportive, and the 2 others being my 2 other accounts. And so, yeah. But anyway, let's see. YouTube. Well, today I went back to my very first account, which is just my most personal, I guess, account. It has my name, my baby picture as a profile, and 1 video, or at least 1 public video, that was made back in May 2013. And I checked today, and it was actually uploaded on May 31st. And it has 8,814 views, 122 likes, and 25 comments. My favorite comment was, "Don't know how far I understood, but best I've ever seen." So, if you're wondering what they're talking about, this was a video that I had made for my high school's senior year English class. It was a video that we needed to make about a book that we had read, and so it was like a book analysis, and my friends and I recorded our parts, and I was the one in charge of putting it together, and that was the first time I ever edited a video, and I used good old Windows Movie Maker. I didn't know how to do anything. All I knew was that when I watched what we were saying, it felt like we had like good analysis, I think, but it just felt so boring. And every time somebody said something, like a song would pop into my head, with just like 1 line from that song, and I'm like, this fits, this is the vibe. And so that's what I did. I organized the order of what we were saying, and anytime I felt like a song would pop into my head, that I would find that song on YouTube, I would clip it and put it into the video, and it was basically like 15 minutes of book analysis and memes at that time. And somehow our teacher loved it. We got an A+. I'm pretty sure we got like 100% on that. And I still remember our teacher being like, "How did you find these songs? Like, did you look for them, or did they just like come to you? Because like they fit so perfectly." And I remember just sitting there and being like, to me it felt like the most natural thing. Like, I don't know, like, why do people breathe, or like, how do they breathe? Like, they don't think, they just do it. And so that's what making that video felt like to me, and it was so much fun. I think I spent a good like 10 hours maybe, I don't know how long, like making this video, and I was not bored for a single second. Anytime I didn't know how to do something, I would just Google it, and I never thought that not knowing how to do something was like tedious or an annoyance. I genuinely had so much fun making that video. And so 12 years later, we're in the present, and I realized that what I've learned from that 1 video is that I really love making videos, and I love finding the right song for the right moment, and I love video as like a storytelling medium, and it helped me learn how to deal with like positive and negative comments and feedback. And so for example, just like reading through our very limited comments, like some of the positive ones that made me smile was one that said, I just astral projected 10 years back, like, hope you guys are doing well, because it was such a vault of the time that it was. And somebody said, this saved my life, and somebody said, this helped. And I think just seeing that the video, like, besides making it for our English class, like, I only posted it to YouTube because it was the only way that I knew how to share a file that large, because my little, like, flash drive at the time definitely couldn't even hold like a 15-minute video. So it was the easiest way to share it with our teacher. And I didn't know about like settings on YouTube. I thought that every video that you posted had to be public. And so we just shared the link with our teacher. And I still remember when I got my first comment on it, I was like, oh my god, like, people outside of my class are watching this, like, voluntarily, like, they're searching for this. And it made me, like, really excited, and I was just happy to see that, like, unintentionally, like, our video, like, helped somebody. But of course, like, there are negative comments too. So, like, one person said, the little clips from pop culture were so damn unnecessary. These clips make it annoying, not interesting. And I remember the moment that I saw that comment, I was already in college, so it had been like a few years, and by that time, you know, like, who cares, right? So I was like, I responded, even though it's been years since I made the video, and I just said, thanks for the tip, we'll definitely keep it in mind for the 20th anniversary remake. Like, you know, like, that negative comment didn't bother me at all, just because I had years of distance from that video, and that wasn't the purpose, right? I didn't make it for other people to enjoy. As long as my teacher enjoyed it and we got an A, like, that was my only audience. That was the only audience I cared about. And so I think that little moment was kind of like an epiphany. Like, for me, I was just like, oh, like, I thought I wouldn't be able to handle negative comments, and yet I realized that with enough perspective, they're like, they can't touch you, they can't hurt you. So in some ways, like, I'm really grateful for that comment, because it made me see who I want to be and how I want to allow other people's words to affect me. And I realized that I can brush it off. I can still say something with gratitude, and I don't have to accept their meanness, and I can still make something witty, you know, from it. And so I don't know. I think that moment just really stuck with me, because I'm not someone who really receives much negative feedback from those around me, and so I always thought that I would be unequipped to deal with any kind of negative comments. But having gone through, like, creative writing workshops and listening to feedback about my writing, I realized that no matter how much heart you put into something, somebody's always gonna take it the wrong way, or maybe they won't quite get what it is that you were trying to say. And that's okay. Like, as long as you understand, and as long as you can separate yourself from the work. Like, they're saying the work isn't good, they're not saying you, the person, are not good, right? And so I really learned from that experience as well to not take things so personally, and to really separate myself from the things that I create, whether it's for school or for work or just for myself. Like, my creations, kind of like the food that I make, you know, at home. Just because the food tastes bad because I'm not that good at cooking doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And if a person is going to judge my character based on my cooking or my writing or my videos. That doesn't mean that they know me as a person. And so the opinions that really matter are only going to be from the people who matter to me. And so I think I just really need to remember that going into this whole process. And yeah, it's really amazing how that one video from 12 years ago can still teach me a lot about not only like putting myself out there online, but also just like about life in general. So I'm to this day so grateful that my English teacher from high school made that project a video project, because if it hadn't been for her, I probably never really would have considered or even been interested in making videos. It just seems so out of my comfort zone to be on camera, to speak, and I don't know. It seems really not like me to put myself in a position where I'm speaking and someone can just watch and not walk away. I mean, I guess they can click away, but it's not natural for me. But I'm really glad that I had that experience. So I guess if you then jump forward to the second video I ever put on YouTube, that would be in January of 2022, and this video is on private, as with every other video that I have since put on YouTube. But this video meant a lot to me, and it was just a 21-second long video of part of my Japan trip from back in 2019, and I edited it completely all on my phone, and I titled it, "You Made This, You Can Do It Again." And I did that because I had been wanting to make videos for probably ever since I made that first video. Like, ever since I realized that making videos is something that I like physically am capable of doing, I've always wanted to make my own videos and just like document my life in some way. And yeah, I think that was the first video that I kind of made after college, where I studied a bit of video editing, and I of course had to make projects for school, but I never really got to make my own personal like video from college. And in 2019, it was, I think, a couple years after I had graduated from college, or maybe just 1 year after I graduated from college. I don't even remember which year. I went to Japan, and it was my first time ever in Japan. I took so many videos, so many pictures. They were such poor quality videos. Like, they were just spinning way too fast. I was moving my phone like at a dizzying speed, and the footage was sometimes grainy or like just not focused, or there were moments where I wanted like slow-mo, but I didn't know how to do that on my camera. And yeah, it's just very, very homemade. I think people, everybody records stuff now. They understand the vibe. It's very, very home video-esque. But still, like, when I made it and I saw those 20 seconds, like, you can tell that there was a certain vision, and I still feel so excited about Japan, where, I mean, I live here now, so as you can see, just the impact that video had on me, and the feeling that I had when I watched that video again, it just reminds me of how happy I was when I was in Japan the first time, and how excited. It made me feel to want to come back. And so anytime I kind of wonder if I want to stay in Japan or if this was like the right thing to do, I would just like watch that video, and like immediately within the first second I'm like, yes, this was the right decision. And so to this day I love those 20 seconds, and I want to finish that video. I still have all of my raw footage from 2019 from that trip, and I want to sit down and edit them to the same song that I had used. And I just want to make, I want to make that part of my life complete, I guess. And it just felt like, it feels like, when you're reading and you have like one more page and you don't finish it, or like you're watching a show and you just have one more episode but you just leave it there and you like never finish it. That's kind of what it feels like right now. So I think I want to go back and I want to finish that video someday. But I guess like what I learned from that video was I'm still proud. I'm proud of that video, and I'm proud of who I was at that time as a person, because a lot of things have happened in my life up until that point, and it took a lot of courage to decide to go on that trip, and it took a different kind of courage to document it, to put it together, and even just posting it to YouTube and setting it on private, like that took a certain level of courage, like from me. Like I had to convince myself for a really long time to upload it to YouTube and just not feel like I have to make it public or anything. But yeah, I love that video, and ever since then, I think I've made like at least 10 YouTube channels like at this point, and I had so many different ideas of what I wanted them to be. Like I went through a phase where I really loved those like study with me videos, and I was like, oh, but like a lifestyle vlog would be so fun, or like maybe a podcast on like parenting, because I'm not a parent, but I feel like I have a lot of unique thoughts and experiences regarding this topic, and I feel like I could talk about it like forever. I literally, like, you have no idea the number of times where I've sat down on a plane next to a stranger who happens to be a mom, and we end up on the topic of parenting, and they're always like, oh my gosh, like, do you have a kid? Are you a mom? And I'm just like, no. But they're like, can I like add you on socials, because I just feel like there's so much to talk about with you, and it's a very weird, very unique thing that I've experienced in my life, just talking to strangers about parenting. But yeah, it's weird, whatever, it's fine, it's part of who I am. But I've thought about making videos on that. I've thought about making videos that are like more like what radio's stations are, right? Like they introduce the songs, but typically they introduce them with like stories from listeners or something like that. But I wanted to like introduce the songs based on just why they mean a lot to me, or like why I chose that song, or like what story do I think of when I think of that song. And it's just a very more personal take on that, and it is still something I want to do, just like how I want to make everything that I've like mentioned. And I've like wanted to start a booktube channel because I love reading, but now I don't really read, so I feel kind of like, what is it, imposter syndrome. I wanted to make videos that like teach English to Chinese and Japanese speakers, and I've wanted to make videos in all three languages, English, Chinese, and Japanese. And I am currently working on making like Chinese like videos and content, but video making isn't the only creative thing that I've been like on and off like working on. I've tried to start so many blogs. I've tried writing like for Medium or just like writing articles for other platforms. And when it comes to these creative pursuits, I have started and stopped like so many times. And you know, it's been over a decade. It's been my entire life, and I just wonder, I'm like, why can't I just let it go? Like, why can't I just let the idea go of making something and doing something creative and wanting that to be my career, you know? And I think, like, deep down, like when I close my eyes and I can't sleep at night, I think about it, and I always return to this like one particular moment. I think I was in the 6th grade or something like that, but I used to always listen to the radio by hiding it under my pillow and putting it on like the lowest volume that it could possibly be, and my mom would be in the same room, like at the desk working away at her like thesis or her grad student work, and I would just lie in bed and I would hide it with the radio, and I would listen to whatever radio station I was into at the time. And every time a song that I really liked came on, I would just like see these like scenes, like these mini music videos, and I would imagine moments and of places, you know, that I've never been to, or that probably I don't even know if they exist, or of just like these moments, kind of just like how people make up stories, right? Like I would just see these stories in my head, but they would be timed to the music, and they would fit the lyrics, and they would match the beat. And it's just how I've always kind of listened to music. Like listening to music is something that is almost as visual as it is like an auditory experience, and I don't know if I think people will understand, but it's just how I experience music. And so I think that's like, when I think about it, then I'm like, oh, a music video, which is, you know, a video, is exactly what that is. It's just something that I've always felt like drawn towards. But then when I think about it, you know, when it comes to creation, video obviously isn't the only medium that I'm interested in, and I love audiobooks and podcasts, or like talk shows, and especially during college and after college, listening to those just made me feel like cozy and comforted. And in the middle of the night, sometimes I don't want to listen to a song. I want to just listen to people talk, and I want to listen to long stories. And I think, like, you know, deep down, I know, and I think everybody knows what it feels like to be lonely. But everybody has their own way of finding comfort in that loneliness, and for me it's always been just some kind of story. And I feel like when I think about creation, like I realize that I want it to be that source of comfort, you know, for somebody. Like I just wanted to make someone who's feeling alone to feel less alone, and I want it to be that escape for them, or that anchor for that person, to just keep them in the moment and to keep them in the world a little longer. Like sometimes the people in your life can't really be there for you the way that you need them to be in that moment, and I've had that feeling many times, and I realized that what kept me really anchored were these stories from people who I've never met before. And so it meant a lot to me, and deep down I wanted to like prove to myself that my dream of creating these stories was like not impossible, right? Like, is it crazy to like have such a big dream? Like, yes, but is it also possible? Like, also yes. And I really, really do believe that, and I really believe that somehow me and my stories are gonna work out, because I think I've always believed that I'm a very lucky person, and like my name literally means lucky jade in Chinese, And even in my like lowest of lows, when I feel like most people would probably feel really hopeless, I've always just somehow believed that it would be okay. Like, I could be crying my eyes out, I could be feeling like my heart's being ripped out from my chest, but I would still believe that things would be okay. And they did. They turned out okay. I'm okay. And so I think I just have always carried that belief with me, and I just believe that no matter what happens, like, luck is always on my side, like, goodness is always on my side, and things are gonna work out, you know. And I think most people probably, if they're being very realistic and honest, do want to make money from pursuing their hobbies or their creative ideas, and everybody is worried if like money's gonna be a problem. Like, are they gonna have to work 5 jobs to support this dream of theirs, or is it even possible to make money like enough to support your everyday life, or maybe more from it? And I think that it's gonna take time, obviously, for me, but like I do think that it's possible. I don't know why I've never made money from a video ever, because I don't have any videos up that are public. I don't have enough subscribers. I haven't tried to understand this craft enough. I haven't worked at it enough, but like I don't know why. For me, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine, it'll work out. And yeah, I don't know why I believe that, but I feel like in some ways, like, whenever I make really big life-changing decisions, somehow whenever I feel like I need a sign from the universe, like, it kind of comes in the form of money, or some kind of financially related thing. And so, like, for example, I, like, off the top of my head, like, I think about the day back in college where I had learned that maybe my parents were paying for my college at that point, and I learned that for reasons I won't go into, that maybe they won't be paying for my college anymore. And the day that I decided that my personal independent financial situation, like, if I can control my own finances, then I can truly have a say in the decisions that I make. Like, the day that I decided that, I I put in my application for like these campus like jobs, and I got like 2 or 3 interviews for like these random places, like at a cafe or whatever, and I was like hired on the spot, and it's my first job ever. So I was like, see, as long as like I need money, like, I will find a way to get money. And I remember the day that I decided to move out of my parents' house, like, before I was still like having doubts, but like the day that the doubts went away and the day that I truly decided that I was like, nope, no matter what happens, whether or not I can afford it, I'm gonna move out. That day, when I was working at the restaurant, I made $400 in one day, like the most I've ever made in one day, from waiting tables. And I was like, you know what, see, the money's gonna come, I'm gonna be okay. And even just today, like, I don't know why, I just felt like this was the creative outlet that I needed to work on today. Like, this was the podcast episode or whatever that I wanted to sit down and record. Like, the moment I decided that, I was like, I don't think I can go to sleep tonight if I don't put this out. But then I was like, oh, you know what, there's something very important that I have to take care of logistically right now, and that is to call the electric company, because for the past 5 months, I have no idea what is up with my electricity, because I can use it, but I haven't been paying for it because last time I called, which was like a month ago, they told me that the contract wasn't ready. So I'm like, if the contract isn't ready, like how am I having electricity? Like I have no idea. And it was such a hassle to like call them. And so I was like, you know what, if I sit down to work on this episode, then I'm probably going to be working for the rest of the day. I'm not going to have time to call the electric company, and it's going to be on my mind, and it's going to get in the way. And so to avoid having that like nagging distraction in the back of my head, I sat down and I finally called the electric company after putting it off for like this entire summer break. And after I called them, I was like, yeah, what's up? Like, I want to pay. Like, let me give you my money. They were like, you know what? The fault is on our end. So basically, you can just use the electricity for free until we figure it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, it has been so hot all summer in Japan. I've been so scared to like run my AC for the whole day because I'm really worried that it's gonna rack up my electricity bill, and I get paid enough from my current job right now, but definitely not, like I can't save anything. I basically use up all of my paycheck for that month, and then I have to dig into my like personal savings from it's not even my personal savings anymore. It's like money that my mom has given me, and it's just like my electricity bill was my biggest financial worry at the moment. And today, hearing that I get to use it for free essentially until whenever it is they figure out what the problem is, it just like was a huge relief. And I'm like, see, even if I'm not getting paid, somehow the world is so kind to me when I make these very important life decisions. Like somehow, like I will be taken care of, I will be okay, I'm not gonna starve and be out on the streets. I still have a roof over my head, I can still pay, and I can still support myself. And so it's just little things like that will happen, and they happen consistently in my life to a point where I feel like it's not a coincidence anymore. Like somehow my belief and my luck is like strong enough to carry me over. And so I just have a feeling that, if I keep this up, like somehow financially I will be fine and I will be taken care of. And so yeah, but then again, it's like, why this video? Like, why did I feel called to like, sit down and record this? I don't even know what to call it anymore. I'll just call it a video for simplicity's sake. Like, why did I want to make this particular podcast like video? And it's kind of like every time I think about making videos or making anything creative, almost more than whatever it is I want to make, I am more interested in the whole process of making it. And so, like, for example, I love listening to interviews with creators or actors or like artists, like anyone in the creative industry. Like, I love listening to them talk about like, how did they get into whatever it is they're doing, like where did they start, like what struggles did they face, like how did they overcome them, like what struggles are they facing now, like how do they overcome self-doubt, what motivates them to keep going and not give up, and like what is their decision process like what is their whole creation process like, how do they brainstorm, how do they plan, how do they organize their files, do they like always write an outline before they do something, or like do they just sit down and press record and do it, like like every aspect of how their mind works like is fascinating to me. And so I was like, I want to document my own process because I would be curious, years down the line, even if it's just me looking back on this whole thing, I'm like, I want to see where my mind was currently in that stage of life, and like what was I thinking. And everybody's like creative process, I think, is similar to a degree, but it's still like unique to you, right? And so I wanted these kind of like this series I've decided to name, right? It's like the voice of a creator. Like I wanted these to be like my mental push-ups. I feel like when it comes to putting myself out there online, there's a lot of fear that comes with it, and I've been trying to, mentally learn how to face them for the past 12 or more years, and it's really hard, especially with the internet being so toxic, with everything moving so fast and everybody is so quick to judge and not give you a chance to even defend yourself or explain yourself. But I wanted this whole process, right? I wanted to record how I feel about it in every stage. And I wanted that to be like a way of training myself mentally to learn how to become stronger, to learn how to face myself and to face the world and how they see me. And yeah, for me, it's kind of like my mental exercises, like how people work out physically. Like I wanted this series to be like my mental and creative like workout session. Like they don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be polished, because nobody is perfect and polished when they're working out. They're all sweaty and smelly, and I'm like, you know what, these can be like the equivalent of that. They're not perfect, they can be long, they can be boring, but they're very, very necessary. And I want to know exactly how that workout is going, right? I want to know what exercises I'm doing. I want to know for how long I am doing them. I want to know how I feel when I'm doing them. And I want to know if they're effective or not. And so for me, recording that is essential to learning about myself and about my own creative process. And when I think about, like why after 12 years I'm still here trying to make videos or like trying to tell my story in some way, and it comes down to kind of this quote that I really believe and live by, and it is something that I heard when I joined a volunteer group back in college. And one of like the mottos of our volunteer group was to always leave a place better than how we found it. And I believe that that place can be physical, and I believe that that place can also be mental, but like also that place can be so many things, right? It can be something as small as the room that you enter. Like maybe if it's messy, you clean it up a little bit before you leave. Or it can be the job that you are at, right? You try to leave it a little bit better than when you enter the workforce. And like as big as it is, it can just be like your world, right? The world that you live in. You can just make it a little bit better with the time that you have in it. And then when you go, hopefully, it is a little bit better. And I think wow, this is getting super big. Like as human race, we've come quite a long way. We're at some rough points now. But generally speaking, I think we are doing better than how we started thousands and millions of years ago. I don't know. Like I'm pretty happy to be living the life that I have now, and I don't think that would have been the case if I had been born even 50 years ago, So I think with that mindset, I really want whatever it is I create to be that good thing that I leave behind, and I feel like there's a lot that goes into making that, but to put it simply, like I just wanted to have some simple rules for my entire creative journey, and to kind of keep me grounded. So like my first rule for myself is I want to be honest, and I want to show up as my most honest self, which plays into, this whole documentation process. Like I'm one of those people who I hate the question, how are you? Because most people just default to I'm fine, I'm good. like, what about you, right? But I hate giving those answers, and I've been asked that question so many times when I've worked in the service industry, that I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm gonna stop lying about how I'm feeling. If I am not feeling good, I'm not fine. I've been working nonstop this whole week, like 10-hour shifts. I am tired. I am so sick and done with the crappy customers who come in. So when people ask me, how are you? I don't have to, dump all of my problems on them. I don't have to, bring up the unresolved childhood trauma, and, turn it into a therapy session. But I also don't have to lie. I don't have to say I'm good. I can just say, you know what? I'm tired. It's been a long day, but we're hanging in there. So I'm not lying, right? But I'm also not, making the conversation awkward. Like they're just there to have a meal, okay? Whether I like it or not, it is my job. But even in that capacity, I don't want to be someone who lies about who they are. And so in whatever small way I can, I try to be as honest as possible. And so I want to make sure that when I'm making my videos and when I'm telling my stories in whatever medium I want to tell them in, that I am acknowledging all the moments that may not be seen by the public. Like I'm telling you right now that I have tons of videos on YouTube already. They're just private or they're unlisted. Like they're not meant to be for the public, but that doesn't mean that I don't have those videos there, right? And I have gigs and gigs of footage and audio files and notes, both typed and handwritten, about all the ideas that I have, but they're not ready for the world. But even this thing that you're hearing right now, it's not something that just happened in one day. It took 12 years of being introduced to making videos. It took more time to think about and learn about these platforms and the software, and it took years and years of just talking to myself every day and learning to face my fears and learning how to speak into a camera, or learn how to connect a microphone, or how to import things into an editing software. And it took years of me reading hundreds and hundreds of books, and I'm not kidding about hundreds. I think I looked on my Goodreads. I think I've read up to 800 books up to my point in life right now. So literally hundreds and hundreds of books, and who knows, countless movies and songs, and it's all of these stories that I have consumed over the years, and the ones that really stick with me are always ones that are hopeful and filled with love, and that is what has shaped me into the person that I am in this moment. And that is why I'm able to sit down and speak to you right now. Everything that you're hearing is a culmination of my entire life, right? Everything that made me into someone who can sit here and talk for hours to nobody. It took a really long time for me to become someone who can do that. And being honest is what allows me to continue doing that without losing myself in all of it. So that is the number one rule that I have for myself. And then the next rule, I guess, they're not in particular order after this, but is to document. I don't just want to make a video that I think is perfect and pretty and put it up and not document everything that went into that process. So those that documentation doesn't have to be public necessarily. I think some of it I want to make public. Oops, I need to turn off the sound notifications on my phone. but I'm not going to edit that out. Like, for example, like, I want this documentation to be as simple and as easy as possible. I don't want to edit anything. I don't want to fidget with, like, adding sound effects. I don't want to add background music. I just want to make it listenable, if that is a word, and I just want to put it out there, because that is what it is. It's just, raw documentation of my thought process and this whole journey, and I want to remember at every stage what I was doing and what I was feeling. So that's really important to me. Like, I want to make sure that as I create, I document the process, and I think it really helps you learn. I think you can learn a lot from other people, from listening to their experience and interviews, and to their guidance, but you always learn the most from yourself and by reflecting on what went well for you and what mistakes you made and what you struggle with, because everybody is so individual in that aspect, and all of those struggles come at different times. And like, honestly, like, you are your best teacher as long as you can observe yourself in some way. And so I feel like the documentation process is necessary if I want to learn and get better at what I'm trying to do. So I want to make sure that that is something that I keep up. And I guess the last rule that I have for myself is, like, I need to believe even when I'm not doing anything, like, even when I haven't opened up my laptop in days, or like haven't recorded anything in like a month or years. I need to believe that even when it's not fun, that this is something that I want to do. Like, sharing my stories and sharing my thoughts is something that I want to do for my future. And I don't really know why. I think I even told one of my friends, like, before I had left for Japan 3 years ago. Like, I remember we were at another friend's house. We had a party, and I love my friends, I really do. I'm just bad at being in groups where there are like more than 4 people at a time, and I'm not someone, like, my social battery just runs out very quickly. But if I'm able to talk to like one person at a party and just kind of like make our own little conversation bubble, I do a lot better. But anyway, I was talking to this friend, and I was like, you know what? I don't know why I think this, but I think that one day, like, my stories are gonna be what, like, really supports me for the rest of my life. And to this day, I still believe in that. I think I've believed in that my whole life. And so I think that, yeah, my final rule for me is just to believe that this is, this is happening. Like, this is my life now. And so, yeah, but I guess to kind of round it off, like, 12 years on YouTube, that's a really long time. And to have the number of subscribers that I do, it's like, why would anyone want to keep doing it or keep trying at it? And I think I view many things in my life as a relationship, and like any good, healthy relationship, I feel like if it's good and healthy, then it's really easy. And I feel like wanting to record and share my stories is easy for me. Like, when you ask me, do I want to do that? Like, it's a very easy yes. I'm like, yes, because I like who I am when I'm filming my life, and when I'm recording my thoughts and sharing my stories. Like, if I'm filming, I notice things so much more. Like, I notice the sounds around me. I notice if the AC is on, if the refrigerator is running, if there are cars outside. Like, I'm so sensitive to noise when I'm recording, and I just see more things. Like, when I'm outside and I'm filming, I'm always on the lookout for, like, oh, are there any cool clouds in the sky, or like, are there any pretty flowers on the road? Like, I'm so much more observant as a person when I'm looking for something to record, and I think that I like being so present, and I feel like I usually am not if I'm not recording, and when I talk and I sit down and get my thoughts out, I feel so much more calm afterwards, after rambling for hours into a microphone, or even just hours of writing. I just feel like getting the ideas out of my head and into the physical world in some way, whether it's through writing or recordings or like whatever, like being able to read them or listen back on them. It's different than just marinating with your thoughts silently inside your head. It's just so much more tangible, and I feel happier that way. I feel more at peace. And I remember like chatting with a friend once, like years ago, like I think just after we had graduated from college. I remember so vividly the conversations that we had through the phone. She had moved to a different state at the time, and we got on the topic of like happiness and what we thought happiness was, and we both agreed that for us, happiness is not like the intense jumping up and down with excitement or like screaming with joy. Like true happiness for us is quiet and it is peaceful. And for me, when I imagine like happiness, like the imagery that comes to mind is just like a leaf on a river just like floating, and it just like lets the current carry it wherever it's going, and it's not fighting it. Like the leaf is not fighting the current. The leaf is not steering its way and deciding that it wants to go there. Like I think for me, happiness is just finally like accepting that this is where life is taking you, and you can just breathe and float along and not feel like you have to control every single moment of it. And it's kind of just like really accepting that you're going wherever you're going and you are who you are. And I don't know, it's like for me, happiness just feels like you can breathe normally and you don't have to hold your breath. And you're not holding your breath because you're waiting for something, or you're like anxious about something, or you're like worried about something. It's just like you can just breathe like it's the most normal thing in the world, which it is. But also I think people, at times breathing is hard. It's something that when we're nervous and anxious and not happy, that breathing becomes unnatural, and we're always like holding our breath, and we're always like taking these long deep breath and then like sighing, and it's just, I don't know, when you're not happy, even breathing is hard. And it sounds kind of dumb when I'm saying it right now, but like for me, happiness is just like I can breathe. It's just a very, very simple thing, but it really is like that is what it means to me. And when I'm making these videos, or like when I feel like I've made the right video, or I've come up with the right idea, or I've done the right thing in the right moment, it just feels like I can breathe again, and I like that feeling, so I want to keep doing it. So yeah, I guess like why did I get so philosophical at the end? But I feel like that's all I have to say about like my so-called 12-year relationship with YouTube at the moment. And I'm sure I will have so much more to say another day, but I think my voice is kind of at its limit. I'm still recovering from a whole month of coughing, but we're at a good place today. I'm at a good place today. So we'll just end it here, and thank you for listening to me, and I'm sure I'll be back soon to talk your ear off with another story. But until then, please take care of yourself, drink some water, get some sleep, look at some pictures of hot people, okay? Do something that makes you smile. We got this, and we're gonna be okay. So, yes, Take care, and we'll talk soon. Okay? Bye.